Cool. So we're about to head into the first game. It's the second game after a 1-0 victory for PLuTo over PiPPiN on the first map, and spawning in on the top we have our Protoss player, which is PLuTo, and at the bottom we've got PiPPiN playing on one of the new maps that recently just launched in one of the expansions. So with me I've got my commentators Muradin and also ThePacifier, who will be talking you through these games. So yeah, Pacifier, not a lot going on at the moment, so just mining some minerals, getting the economy up and running. And based on the first game, what do you think is the strategy for PiPPiN going into this game, knowing that he's one game down?
Well, I'm not actually sure, because last game he had the strategic upper-hand in that battle. PLuTo was completely vulnerable in the early stages of the game, and PiPPiN had the perfect counter and he just didn't utilize it. So I think he should do the same again, because when it came to the macro game, PLuTo went miles ahead.
Fair enough. So do you think we might see some early harass here, maybe some Reapers across the map, maybe some Hellion drops? Or do you think he's just going to go for a safe build? It does seem like he's going for a safe build, just throwing down a standard opening. Looks like he's going to block off that ramp, which, as we know in Protoss versus Terran, is not really a big requirement. Allowing that probe into your base to see a little bit of what you're doing, not really as crucial, especially in heart of the swarm. Pretty standard builds for Terran mostly throughout. So I think he should have taken that extra minerals. If we do see, yep, there it goes. So he plops down the extra supply depot to block that scouting. I think he should have probably used that extra minerals, to get a few more extras SCVs, or maybe pop down an extra barracks to get that early offense up. What do you think about that?
What are you referring to?
To PiPPiN's build.
Well, he took the gas rather late. That means any form of tech is going to be quite delayed, because he waited quite a while to take his first gas, so he's most likely not going for a factory play. So I expect to see some either a fast expand or some early barracks play.
Okay. We also see quite a late expand for PLuTo. I mean, he only threw down his cybernetics score at about 17 supply. Well, actually, that's not really late. We do see a gas going down now at 19 as well. So double gas, that does give you an impression of quite an early tech build as well. So maybe he's going some oracles. Might use some oracles to harass early.
This is actually quite a standard gateway opening. A lot of players go into an expand with this because it gives them enough gas to get out a mothership core and some tech. And that mothership core pretty much gives you any defense if you have your second nexus up.
But you should have enough gas. I mean, we're just mining off mining off one gas. But he does build a stalker. Oh, and he researches warp gates quite early, which is quite interesting. This is a very interesting build.
The main
also
reason he's
dropping a robotics facility.
researching that warp gate is because he's got a pylon right outside PiPPiN's base.
Although, judging by the placements of that pylon, it looked like it was mainly there to prevent the expansion.
I agree.
Because it's not hidden at all, it's just right in the center.
This is true, but never forget that an early blink stalker harassment can be very powerful. And as you can see, he is going for that gateway. So,
yep.
Right, going for that gateway, no expansion out yet, either side.
I do not think it's a multiple
but the
gateway.
Mine's coming. Looks like we're going to see a mine drop.
That is
how
fantastic.
effective it will be interesting though, because PLuTo's already got his observer out.
Exactly. I really like this observer build from PLuTo every game, because it gives him perfect scouting information, so he knows exactly how to respond. And he's safe against any Banshee and Widow mine drops.
Quite key as well, with Protoss, especially in heart of the swarm. They opened up the whole Protoss play for us so much, where you can either choose to go Robo with a robotics facility, or you can actually choose your Stargate. You've got the Oracle that you can switch into an Observer as well. So really offering the players quite a lot of versatility in terms of the builds that we can follow from here. But I don't think that this is going to be a gateway push, because the second gateway only going down now, while while PiPPiN actually building an extra supply depot to make sure he doesn't get the blink stalkers from the north.
PiPPiN actually doesn't have enough
absolutely
gas to
desperate to
really
get
build
that,
anything he needs. He really needs to throw down that second refinery.
Quite interesting, going for an extra command center before he goes for that second gas. What do you guys make of that?
Well, he's already been crippled by the gas. As you can see, his medic only just came out now, and he still hasn't gone through his double gas yet. It's hurting him. He's feeling that tech disadvantage right now. So he's loaded them all up, and this is well visible.
And the
too.
observer sees everything. He just saw PiPPiN picking up all
and
of
the
that.
pylon sees it all. So this is not going to be a surprise at all. I sincerely doubt that we are going to see anything come out of this mine drop.
Yeah, PLuTo already
the
has
counter is
stalkers positioned in place in his mineral line, so it looks like he's going to intercept that.
And unless I'm mistaken, I've just seen a chronode. Yep, here comes the chronode observer.
+1 just dropped for PLuTo, and +1 nearly finishing for PiPPiN. So the question is just, I don't think PiPPiN is going to be able to do enough here. What he will have to do, he'll have to drop and just harass with some, harass some of those drones. But the cannon goes down.
Despite knowing that it's coming,
The question is, is he going to get any drones? He gets about 6 drones.
And he's sending his folks back, like a number of.
That's hectic. And he destroys the whole economy. It seems like a strategy we
a massive change of events here. PLuTo has gone from being well ahead with excellent information to being completely knocked, losing. Let's have a look now quickly.
He's actually lost 15 workers.
He lost 16 pros.
That is a huge deficit. I think the only way that PLuTo can actually look at drawing this back, is actually now he needs to attack. He needs to do something to actually try and pull this game back.
Because the extra command center, where has it gone?
Yeah, PLuTo's actually already got into the lead again in the worker supply.
Yeah.
Because of his chrono boosts.
At the moment, PiPPiN is still actually behind in his worker supply.
He's behind on his worker supply, but he is leading on army supply slightly. So this engagement is going to mean a lot for PiPPiN. If he engages this army pretty well, then he might end up winning this game.
And the monster down, but will it get it shot off? Yep.
And it takes out the storm as well. This might get really bad.
Yep.
That was quite a bad early trade there for PLuTo.
That's some free damage straight for PiPPiN right there. He just enjoyed that free damage. One less stalker.
And PiPPiN actually just pushing in now, taking out the extra pylons.
Pylons take out. I mean, it hurt. In fact, if you have a close look, you'll see that at the current stage of things, he's only got 3 gateways, so not crippling that much. It looks like PiPPin's going to try and push this all the way. Yeah.
PiPPiN really needs to get some more production because he's starting to gather quite a large bank, but he only has 2 racks.
Yeah,
so he can't really get much out.
Despite the massive advantage he has not been building SUVs.
Yeah.
Still on 16 SUVs.
He's currently got that second command center also just sitting there waiting. It's not been upgraded to it's been
They haven't
upgraded
got a single SUV working at it.
but it doesn't have a single SUV as you see, working on that. So
That is
he actually, and instead of doing a lot of damage on this army right here, if PiPPiN doesn't pick up, he's just leaving his army there to die. It's like,
What an upset. We
and
really
that
had not seen that.
just absolutely went to the dogs.
And the
So
second gas is still not down. Finally, we have the second gas going down. First siege tank coming out. PiPPiN has a massive amount of minerals. He needs to double, possibly triple expand. He needs to get some workers out there. He needs to get his economy up and running because.
And in the meantime, PLuTo is going for, he's going for +1 armor as well. He's popping out 3 sentries. He's building an additional Nexus. Knows he's behind on economy, and that he actually needs to get his economy up and running again. Also going for the charge. Charge in this situation, I think, is a really, really good idea, considering that all we've seen from PiPPiN was pretty much only Marines and Marauders and some mines. But once that detection gets out, he can just have the stalkers snipe them from the back and then just send the zealots in to do the rest of the damage.
Well, PiPPiN is he's got his eco up, but he still hasn't quite got the SCV count. His SCV count is too low. He has not spending. He is sitting on a mass amount of minerals right now. 1,800 minerals. Oh wow.
He's starting to produce some more SCVs now. Now all he needs is the production facilities. And he's got his second gas, so this means he can start to afford medevacs, which are vital on the engagement.
Yep, he's got that second gas up, but he hasn't put workers onto it. His workers are still a single worker on there. His expansion hasn't got any gas going on it. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, we've got PLuTo with both up. We've got 15 saturation, 14 saturation, and third expansion up, and boom, there we go. It looks like PLuTo is just going to deny.
Completely agree. You know, PiPPiN is actually throwing this game
Oh,
away.
there we go. PiPPiN is now deciding to rack up. He's adding some extra racks.
I think this is really going to help him.
Big question now is what is going to happen with that immortal? Oh, there we go. He's just sniping mines. He's taking his time, biding his time. He's taking out one expansion. He doesn't realize that PiPPiN has 2 extra expansions on the far wing over here and over here. It's a strange new map, so as things currently stand, he may believe that he's completely in the lead. He's going in with his assault force.
But I mean, double expanding, that's quite expensive. I think so. And this actually might cost him the game. Yeah, this might actually be game killer. And he's actually got an hallucinated Colossi as well.
Is it because PiPPiN has made a drop on PLuTo's base and he's wiping out PLuTo's forces?
Oh, there we go.
Will and those do not stop running.
Oh, and
the big question is now, will PiPPiN utilize those barracks and all those minerals he's sitting on? He's sitting on 1,400 minerals. He's got 4 barracks and only 1 barracks.
The problem is he hasn't set them up to his hotkey yet, so he's still only producing out of 2 of those barracks.
Producing out of 2 of the barracks, yeah. But he's got a total of 5. He's producing.
And here comes the final push now, guys. And it doesn't seem like a lot is going to happen. Here takes another scene, and I think this might actually be the last push. It does seem like PiPPiN might actually win this game now. Going into the kill.
Not even
That's really. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, this might be big trouble. He's pulling off all the ACVs, he's pulling them into the base, he sees there's a lot of trouble. Oh, but he's not getting down the supply depots, so those guys are going to get killed. And on the back of this, PLuTo is also, putting in a lot of additional units. As we can see, PLuTo he's actually going Storm, which is fantastic. He's got his Templar Archive down, and really good economy going. He's currently got his +2/+2 going, which is looking pretty promising for him. He's propping down another assimilator, while all that PiPPiN can do at the moment, he's popping out a tank and some marauders, but not really too much that he can do.
PiPPiN hasn't given up yet, though. You can see he's making a drop in the top left. It's taken out a pile on so far, but hasn't really done much else.
And that drop just goes slowly, those marauders actually suffering a very slow death. And another one goes down, gets the Zealot, but as we can see in the middle of the map, actually, PLuTo actually just gathering his army right in the middle over there, and he feeds back the medevac. There, that goes down. Proton overcharge on the next. Orders, and PiPPiN is officially in a lot of trouble. He's only got 31 army supply versus the 52 from PLuTo. Oh my word, he goes up to 62, so that's double the supply of PiPPiN's army. Worker supply also heavily favoring. If you look at the worker supply, guys, 29 to 49, I mean, that's something that never should have happened. PiPPiN should never have allowed PLuTo to actually gain that capacity.
It really shouldn't have. He went through a large portion of the game where he completely stopped SCV production. So even though he eliminated 15 workers from PLuTo, he still managed to fall behind within a minute.
Yep, true. And I mean, those observers not being picked off at all. No ravens being built. I mean, we all know, you know, it's impossible, you know. I mean, if we've seen the engagements that PLuTo has been making, one would actually think that PiPPiN would have thought, you know, but how does this guy know that, you know, what I'm making and how to counter these builds? And really not thinking. Stim only being researched now, which is really ridiculously late. The armory only going down now as well. Tech labs as well being added on. So, and that observer still just chilling in the middle of PiPPiN's base, seeing everything, knowing what's coming, and he's just waiting for those Templar to actually build up enough energy, you know, to drop multiple storms on PiPPiN's army as well.
I think you bring up a very important point about him not snapping the observers, because at this rate, PLuTo's basically been playing the game with map packs. He sees everything PiPPiN's doing. He knows exactly how to react. He knows exactly when he's moving out. It puts him at a huge disadvantage.
Yep, definitely. And the mines also, you know, those aren't going to count for anything very soon. You know, all of the observers, the stalkers getting them sniped off. And here we see the army move out a little bit. So PLuTo just giving them a taste, you know, saying, you know, we are here, you know, we're going to keep you in your base, we're not going to allow you to expand, but not scouting that expansion to the right, where PiPPiN is actually dropping mules, and his income is looking pretty solid now at the moment, you know, with over 1,000 minerals with all of those mules. But the question is, once all of those mules run out of energy, you know, is he going to have enough to actually do something? And here we go, PLuTo actually going down that ramp now, engaging his army. The storms are going to drop very soon. It's not looking very good for PiPPiN at the moment. And here we go, the Ark zealots move in. They start just nipping off at that army. PiPPiN trying to split his army at the moment. The high Templar coming in. Oh, and they drop 2, 3, 4 storms on the army. And that's PiPPiN's army. That is the whole army. He is down to only 9 army supply versus the 72 of PLuTo at the moment. And those Archons still have a lot of energy on them. You know, we've still got about 10 storms left on that army. Worker supply 30 against 57. Overall, I just think PiPPiN is in a lot of trouble at the moment.
No, that's for certain. I think his last hope are the siege tanks in the high ground. But with 4 bases to 2, it's not looking very good for him.
Yeah, it's also quite surprising that throughout the game, what we haven't seen, you know, is PiPPiN hasn't changed any of his army. He's actually just continued producing Marine Marauder Medivac, where the tanks, you know, really playing like old StarCraft style here, where literally just turtle up in your base, and what eventually is going to happen is that PLuTo is just gonna he's just gonna out you know, starve him. He's gonna starve him out. Oh, storms go down, and that's another half of his army going down. You know, we're down to about 40 army supply versus the 90 of PLuTo. Not really looking great at the moment. PiPPiN in desperation researching that +2 weapon upgrade, while the units just keep rolling in for PLuTo.
Yeah, at this stage it looks like PLuTo's just toying with them.
Pretty much. You see a Stargate going down in the middle of the map. I have absolutely no idea what that is all about. 2 additional expansions, but the one not being mindful from PLuTo in the north, you know, just under his main, planted another one on the west side, but maybe he's just looking at transferring all of his workers at the same time. Mothership Force still chilling out in the main, decides not to actually participate in the battles, doesn't think it's necessary.
I think he's decided that the only way he can lose this is by a big counter-attack, so he's leaving that behind so that he can do a quick photon overcharge if he ever needs it.
And there we see the Zealots moving into the east side. They're taking out a few additional ACVs. Nothing to protect those mules, the base, nothing. PiPPiN needs to lift off here, you know, just to make sure that he doesn't lose any advantage. PiPPiN is now mining on one base, and I think this is pretty much over. And with +3, +2, it does look pretty good for PiPPiN at the moment.
So he's gotten to a stage where PLuTo's even giving advice.
Yep. That we do not usually see in a game. I think what would be quite important here as well, I would have definitely wanted to see PiPPiN follow a little bit of his different strategy. You know, I mean, changing his build after he saw that first army. When he saw those first high Templar drop, you know, one would expect him usually to build a few ghosts, to get those EMPs off, especially with the Archons as well. Just remove those shields and get to the soft squishy bits on the inside. And PiPPiN now moving out with his army. Completely in the wrong direction, because he's absolutely got no vision. He's got the scans available currently at the moment, but he's just not using them. He's just moving out. He's taking guess of where the army is, and with observers all around the map, PLuTo is now moving back to his base. He's going to that expansion, defending them, and this is just going to be an absolute massacre. The tanks taking a bit of time to siege. Oh, and all of the Marines are behind the tanks, and those tanks dropping, doing a lot of damage. The Archons moving in, and they are just absolutely that was just a massacre. PLuTo got so many scores, he's just like, you know what, there's 3 units left, I'm just going to use it, and that's the GG. No GG even, that was just the game. So, yeah, what do you guys think? What should PiPPiN have done there differently to actually be able to win that game?
Had the right strategy at the beginning. It just all boiled down to his macro. He fell far too behind in his macro, so even though he was at such a large lead at the beginning, just like in the first game, he wasn't able to capitalize on it.
Yeah, completely agree. I think he should have made use of his of that lead that he gained right early in the game, and unfortunately he didn't. You know, he hung back too little, left that Marines and Marauders right up there to die, and where he could have actually used that to maybe take out or harass on the additional expansion, take out some key buildings, maybe some forges, etc., and just kite the army in general. But overall, a really good game from PLuTo, pulling that one back and taking the game 2-0.